Thank you, Sabah Society, for inviting me to give this difficult talk. I used to give talk on political people, but here I have to approach it differently. But these immigrants and population explosion in Sabah is a complex subject. When come to election, it's a headache for everybody. Anyway, the talk is on immigrants issue and population in Sabah. So, sorry for me sitting down to preserve my backbone. So, population of Sabah since 1960 compared to Sarawak it looks very unnatural, the increase, especially 70 to 2000. This population, the figure is foreigners are included. So turning to a graph is like that. And now, we used to be 2/3 of Sarawak population, but now there are 2/3 of us. So how come query this early 2006? 5. So we talk about foreigners, immigrants and population. Just now is the population, Sabah, Sarawak. Now we talk about the foreigners in Sabah. The statistics department couldn't tell me how many foreigners before, but from 1991 census yearbook until now, they give a figure, the official figure of foreigners in Sabah compared to Sabah population. This so-called foreigner includes undocumented and documented ones, and those with work permit, and those who already got PR, foreigners who got PR but they are not Malaysian, and also those who are stateless. So this is the official number given by the government, which include every category of foreigners. So everyone planned PTI, but PTI is a very loose term, very, very loose term. As I said, the so-called PTI, it can be anybody. Even the fourth generation project IC citizen, you also call them PTI. This PTI, tonight I'll talk all about this also. This PTI citizen, they are registered voters, you see. That's why I'm in the politics. I keep on talking about this. So a request for RCI on Sabah illegal issue been on for almost 20 years before it's finally accepted and ongoing in 2013. Dr. David Fung is one of the Sabah Law Association or representing them and quite involved in this. So it started January before. RCI said, the report, it seems that the core issue about this RCI is in the term of reference number 6, which is to inquire into the reason why the population of various categories in Sabah increased so much. And they said this is the pivotal issue that underpins all other issues in the terms of reference. There are 8 terms, but term number 6 is the most important one that underpins all other issues. If you read term number 6 is like that. They talk about people who are in Sabah, who are citizens, who are naturalized, who got IC from the back door, who got the late birth registration one. All the so-called Sabahan Malaysian. They also want to find out the reason why the foreign workers problem here, the population, and the illegal one, and the refugees. The second part, to scrutinize its effect on a number of those registered in electoral rolls. Unfortunately, the RCI did not talk much about that. They talk a lot about this first part of it, the reason for the increase. So they want to find out the reason for this. There's one witness in the RCI, he said, the increase in Sabah population is not due to the Chinese population, but due to something else. This witness said it's due to something else, but he did not say why there was such huge increase, who was that something else. So that's the background. With that background, I continue my research. I look into the so-called Malaysian citizen in Sabah. And these two lines is the Kadazan Dusun Murut is the blue, light blue, the dark blue is the other Bumiputra in Sabah. So you can say the increase in population in Sabah, that witness say is not due to Chinese, it's due to the Bumiputra increase. Light blue is the Kadazan Dusun Murut, the dark blue is the other Bumiputra. Who are the other Bumiputra in Sabah? So I look into population of Sabah and the breakdown of all the different main ethnic groups in Sabah. If you look at that graph, in 1960, KDM, Kadazan Dusun Murut, more than half of the total Bumiputra. But now, Kadazan Dusun Murut is less than 1/3. From more than half to less than 1/3. 1960 census, so altogether we have 454,000 in North Borneo. These are the natives, orang asal. They don't call them indigenous, Bumiputra, they call indigenous. There's no Malay. There's no Kadazan there, it's under Dusun. See, no Malay, you know. Yeah, Brunei is not Malay. Brunei is not Malay, because I explain to you later on. These are the natives of North Borneo. And these are the other communities in North Borneo. The Malay is, the Malay you can see is under others, you know, which the others include all the foreigners lah. So Malay in North Borneo is a foreigner lah.
You mean Cocos Islander is more than Malay?
This is according to the statistic lah. Yeah. So see, Malay 1,000 something only. Cocos more than that.
What is the natives of Philippines? 7,473.
They can Visaya. There are many Filipino, but Suluk is also a native of Sabah. Now Suluk, you can see it, Suluk. There are many more, more than 10 after this, but I couldn't get it. You know.
What's Tidong?
Tidong, so Dusunik tribe, Dusunik. So, in absolute figures, official figures, these are the Kadazan Dusun, Murut, Bajau, Malay, and other Bumi. So, the increase in Sabah population is due to the so-called other total Bumiputra other than Kadazan Dusun Murut. If you turn into percentages like that, you notice something? If I turn it into the graph form, this is Malay, going up very sharp, and then they can come down, you know.
Where they come down?
Yeah, I'll explain later on. This is Murut. Murut lah. This one is Kadazan Dusun. Kadazan Dusun is this one. This one is all the total Bumi Putra, you minus the Kadazan Dusun, Murut, Bajau, and Malay. You minus Kadazan Dusun, Murut, Bajau, and Malay, and that's the biggest group.
The immigrant.
No, I didn't say immigrant. Someone asked why the Malay like that, and suddenly why the other Bumi went up like that, and why the Bajau group also go up. The Kadazan Murut one, the Bajau one is slightly faster rate than the KDM in the later past 2 decades, but in the past is very fast. Who are they? They are Malaysian, you know. You know, the statistics department, ini tidak apa. Statistics department, the yearbook 2000 gave that figure. Yearbook 2010 gave that figure. What happened to those people? Those people went up, put underneath this other Bumi Putra. Later on, I'll show you how I say this is manipulated by the statistics department. They manipulate the figure. How they manipulate it, I'll tell you later on. Anyway, this is about Malaysians increase, Malaysian increase. The witness said the population increased not due to the Chinese, due to other reason. So next we go talk about, I come back to the project IC, the new citizen. Now I talk about foreigners. These foreigners, official figures, who are they? Who are the foreigners in Sabah? One by one I go to you. Undocumented, which means they got no papers. How many of them? Government told us 100 to 120,000. Those without documents, not excluding those with documents who have IM13 and all others. This is no document at all. Government told us about 100 and 120. Remember, they said the government told us foreigners like that, total number, and the undocumented about 10%. But actually, if they say it's 110, 120,000 undocumented, in 2003 already in IDS seminar here, this fellow told us there's 600,000 illegal immigrants residing in the year 2000. And the Filipino embassy also told us about 500,000 on both occasions. In 4 years, they see about 500,000 Filipino. Indonesian told us the consulate said there are about 250,000 illegal Indonesian. So altogether about 750,000 already. That's about 20 years ago. But now only 100,000. I would say today at least 2 million of them. Undocumented. Have you been KKIP area? Go and try and look. Go to around to sungai-sungai and all those things. Kampung Saga, if you remember, KKIP. I've been there many times. I met a lot of them undocumented. I said at least 2 million now. This is undocumented. Next, foreign workers with permits. Government told us there are about 200, 300,000 of them, excluding their dependents. These are people who have permit. Kenapa itu? Oh. Have with permit. So if you remember, the 800,000 of them, 100 undocumented, 500 with permits with their dependents, so 600 already. Who are the other 200? The government figures, Here. These are documented foreigners. Documented figures. Burung-burung in 1988, 325,000. IM13, that many. The IM13 are people, refugees from Philippines. That number are the 18 years old and above. 18 years and below is included in one of the parents' paper. Once the children reached 18 years old, they can apply for their own IM13 paper. That's why until today, they are still IM13 holders. With that number in that year's stated there, how many of them should be by now?
What is Sijil Banchi?
Sijil Banchi is... okay, I tell you, IM13 you know for Southern Philippine refugees, they stopped giving in 1984. Burung-burung, when PBS was in government, 1986, they had a committee, asked together with they formed IDS. They set up IDS and CM department went out and looked for foreigners, those without paper. They look for foreigners who were not refugees. Make sure, remember, burung-burung are undocumented foreigners who were not refugees. Until today, Jeffrey Kitingan, I don't know why he did not know it. Because in burung-burung, 1987-88, for that 2 years, IDS and CM department, who were the IDS chairman? Jeffrey Kitingan. Why now he didn't know burung-burung not for refugees? No, don't want to talk politics lah. Sijil Banchi, 1989, Mahathir asked Pyrin, you better stop registering this thing because I have set up federal task force on refugees and foreigners in Sabah and Labuan. So you stop doing all those things. The federal task force will do this, will look after these people. So this task force do Banchi, census on the illegal immigrants in Sabah instead of the CM department and IDS. So they issued the Sijil Banchi. But when did they issue? They set up in 1989. They did the first census. Task force did the first census 1990 and 1991. You know how many they registered? They registered all foreigners, including refugees. Although the task force is on refugees, but to be fair, the task force is on refugees and foreigners in Sabah and Labuan. That's the name of the task force. On refugees and foreigners. So they registered all the refugees and foreigners in Sabah in 1990 and 1991. They registered almost the same number as the burung-burung. Burung-burung registered 325. The first Banchi, they registered 310,000. But they did not issue the Sijil. 1990, 1991, the first census, no Sijil issued. But 20 years later, or 17 years later, 2007, they did the second census. And this time, only on refugees. The second census, 2007. And they issued the Sijil Banchi then. And they issued that number, 59,000. Okay? PR, because IM13, people who are holder of IM13 paper, or social visit paper, government gave them 5 benefits. The federal government gave them 5 benefits. One, you must only stay in Sabah and work, Sabah and Labuan, and cannot go to Malaya. Number 2, you will be repatriated if you involved in criminal activities. Number 3, after 15 years, you can apply for entry permit. Entry permit. After you got the entry permit, then you can apply for PR. That's why a lot of PR granted to them. But PR granted to Sarawakian, Sabah PR granted to Sarawakian or Malayan must have CM department approval, right? You all know that. Dr. Barrow knows about it. But foreigners, IM13, they got the entry permit, they apply for PR, care approved without the knowledge of, without approval or knowledge of CM department here. I come back to later on. But anyway, as I said earlier, if that are the number in those years, how many of them should be by now? At least 1.5 million, you know. Given the population increase rate, in 30 years it's 300,000, 300%. There should be 1.6 million of them by now. But in 2016, we are told like that. This magic figure, 136055. The RCI have 2 committees. The RCI have 2 recommended proposals. Either have a committee on illegal immigrants in Sabah, or have some secretariat to deal with the immigrant in Sabah. So the federal government picked the first proposal by the RCI. So they formed 2 committees. One is Central Committee, chaired by the Deputy Prime Minister and CM of Sabah. The second committee, the Technical Committee, is chaired by one Deputy Chief Minister in Sabah. So after the Technical Committee in Sabah have series of meetings, recommendation to the main committee, one of them is this.
Now, this is new census?
Bukan. 2016, after the RCI, the Technical Committee, chaired by Pyrin as Deputy Chief Minister, many recommendations, but they're all under Official Secret Act, so we did not know. But I knew this is one of them, which is discussed in the main committee. So the BN government in 2016 approved, must change all these cards to be replaced by one card. BN government 2016, the name that card, same as the RCI proposal, they call it Sabah, they call it resident pass. Just hold on, you don't ask me first. RCI said resident pass. RCI said resident pass. Pyrin committee, I don't know what name they use, but the main committee in KL put one more name, Sabah resident pass. So the KL main committee said, we issue a card, Sabah resident pass, to replace all these cards, because all these cards, a lot of fake ones. It's very hard to track them. You see? They want to put a new card with biometric features. This is the hot issue when it comes to Kimanis by-election. That's right, that's right. This is the figure they said by now, by 2006, these are the number left. So when 2016, KL government, BN government said, yes, we wanted to replace all these cards with the name of the card, Sabah resident pass, but did not implement it, change the federal government. The new federal government approved also to go ahead, but change the name from Sabah Resident Pass to Sabah Temporary Pass. Pasementera Sabah, PSS. 2019, right? 2000 January by election Kimanis. BN government approved all these things, but BN government opposition opposed all these things when during Kimanis by election. Cut the story short. Warisan did not go ahead with this. Warisan, when the PH government changed, replaced by PN, Kumpit, the Home Minister, proposed another new name called new IMM card. But that name lasted for a few days only, because they realized, I don't know how, I think maybe they realized burung-burung is not for refugees. Anyway, it's kept quiet for 1 more year. 2022 January, last year, came up with another name, Sabah Foreigners Card. Sabah Foreigners Card. So, this time, Jeffrey Kittingan and Maximus Ompili, everyone opposed. But when Jeffrey Kittingan was appointed the chairman of that committee, a new committee, they call it Committee on Foreigners, Workers and Foreigners Nationals. And there's a series of meetings, and they come up with 2nd of January, June last year, with 2 resolutions. They want to give the card to all these foreigners. And it come out in the news. I thought it's want to do registration of the undocumented. No, he said, all those people who have all these cards, exactly the same number. He said 6 months to implement, now 9 months already. Nothing come out. Jeffrey wanted to change it to the name to change the name to Sabah Foreigners Card to non-citizen card, which is the same thing. That's why in 2nd June, he said the name of the new card is still undecided because too sensitive. Anyway, that is the thing. Why only this left? Why not 1.6 million? Some of them have died, some of them have returned, but most of them got our project ICU. Plus the descendant lah. Huh? Anyway, I talk without, yeah, it's all here in the slide, okay? Now, last year, no, 2020, soon after Warisan lost the state election, the MP Tangau asked this question. And the Prime Minister Department answered, exactly the same number of Pasementera Sabah. Exactly the same. Same figure, where they opposed in the Kimanis by-election. I'm showing you all this because the federal government got no heart to solve this. The next stateless. So I've talked about undocumented, I've talked about refugees, I've talked about with permit, I've talked with documented one, and now stateless. This is a headache to us. Who are the stateless people? They're both parents undocumented, or one of them documented, one parent citizen, or both parents citizen. They're all included, you know. They are Sabahan born in the interior, they are not documented. Especially the kampung people, they have customary rights that they married below age. When they want to register the child, the JPN will not issue. First, you got no marriage certificate. Kampung style, verbal, some of the kampung, they're verbal only, no written certificate. But a lot have written certificate, the kampung, native court. Some they are there. So this is a big headache, how to solve it, you see. But we'll later on talk about the solution if you've got time. Then come to Project IC. 1992, there's one Filipino arrested. He was asked by the magistrate, oh, how did you get your IC? He said, through Project President Mahathir. He got jailed 2 years. When he come out of jail, his name and IC number got registered in the electoral roll. Until today, also still in the roll. Until today. I've checked it. Take my word. I've checked with the electoral roll.
But is the guy still here?
Yes. I don't know. The guy is still, but his name is still on the electoral roll.
But physically, we don't know.
We don't know. So Project IC, how many of them? In the RCI, we are told population increase in Sabah and Sarawak should parallel at the same time. So if we remove the foreigners in Sabah and Sarawak in 2010, this is the number of Malaysian in Sabah and Malaysian in Sarawak. So the 40 years increase, if they should parallel each other, Sabah should have only 1.56 million, not 2.316 million. If Sarawak increased by 141% in 40 years, and if Sabah also the same as Sarawak, increased the same, RCA said one of the witnesses said we should parallel each other. But if should parallel each other, the increase, then Sabah, Malaysian, this is about citizen, foreigners excluded, foreigners excluded. The citizen increased 141%, then we have only 1.56 million. Well, how come we have 2.3 million? So the difference, 3/4 million in 2010 of Project IC citizens and their descendants, okay? Must remember, and their children and grandchildren. So 1/3 of Malaysians in Sabah in 2010 are Project IC and their descendants. So if you want to say in 2010, 1/3 of them are citizens, you include all those foreigners, include those unknown, undocumented, we are really, really outnumbered by them. MIC Chief Sabah. RCI, he's a witness in RCI, witness number 116. Number 116. This fellow is the chief of Sabah MIC. He's the first generation IC. His deputy president said, Mahathir gave a lot of IC, so accept it lah. Another first generation YB, this is YB, YB Sibatik. His IC number 03.8, 0H038 is the project IC number. Don't take my word. This number, this IC number is stated in RCI as a problematic, dubious IC number. There's a series of number. If you still remember, Dr. David, I think, P1, P2, P3 number. How did he get this one, the last column, warga negara secara kuat-kuasa, Article 30. Article 30 is a very loose article to get citizenship. If I got time, I'll go to that article later on. Anyway, this is first generation YB already. So, now there are a lot of second generation and third generation, and many of them registered in the electoral roll. How to solve? talk tonight is up to here. The solution is afterward, if I got time. You got any question now? Before I go to the solution, if I got time. So you understand already, the so-called PTI, burung-burung, sijil banci, you know, so many of them before and how many of them now, how they all this politicized. Any solution, if you want to solve all these things, you have to know the reason why they are here first, right? RCI gave us these 4 reasons. Economic reason, so I got workers with permit. $20 years ago, Sabah Immigration Department said, you got workers with permit, dependents must not come along with them. Those who already have dependent with them now, if they want to renew their work permit, dependents must go leave Sabah first. But they did not implement that. They repeated again in 2010, same thing I just said just now. Dependent must not be allowed, but also not implemented. Number 2, refugees. Government gave them the benefit. KL, the federal government said, IAM 13th holder, you are allowed to stay and work in Sabah. And then after 15 years, you can apply for permit masuk. So the intention is for Southern Filipino to stay in Sabah permanently. So how to solve? Economic reason, work permit, you say resident not allowed, but you did not implement it. Southern Philippines, you said they are allowed to stay permanently. So how to solve like that? Number 3, RCI gave us this reason, the porous borders. RCI said the weaknesses in our border control, the attitude, tidak apa attitude, the enforcement punya orang on the ground, lack of integrity. And then the 4th one, senang dapat our document. The RCI told us, our system is so weak, you can get our documents so easily and being taken advantage by every people, including politicians, employers, immigrants themselves. So how to solve all these things? So you want to solve, you know the reason. The reasons are like this, given by the RCI. And I agree with them, these are the reasons. So if you want to solve according to the reason, undocumented how? There are so many of them. How you want to tangkap and chase them away? You said we want to register them, biometric registration, biometric whatever, digital. Now they say digital, not biometric, digital registration. You think they want to come out to be registered? Why should I come out to be registered? You're going to register me, take my biometric, and then send me home. Why should I come out? They will not come out. Bukan senang to solve this. You can talk during election time, campaign time. Tangkap undocumented, send them home. There are so many of them. How to tangkap? You said before you tangkap, before you send them, want to register biometrically. They will not come out voluntarily. You want to tangkap, you tangkap lah, 2 million of them. So it's very...
Undocumented means they cannot vote. There is no...
no document at all, not even IM13. IM13, they are not, only citizen can vote. So how to solve this undocumented one? You give them, in the past, amnesty given. Apa lagi? Another word they use what? Regularization or whatever. But once the paper contract semua habis, they become undocumented again. So, how to do this? Worker with permit. I said just now already. documented one. How, even if you replace all these card holder with a new card, you can do better tracking and management. Eventually, are you going to send them home? IM13, burung-burung, and sijil banci, all of them got two common benefits. They are allowed to stay and work in Sabah and Labuan permanently unless involved in criminal activities, and they are not allowed to go to Malaya. So, federal government wants all these IM13, burung-burung, sijil bancis to stay in Sabah permanently. That's their intention. How are you going to solve it? PR. They give PR to foreigners, to all IM13 holders without Sabah knowledge. Is CM department there to revoke the PR?
Are their children allowed to go to school?
I come back to later on. Huh? I've talked already about this. Huh? Now, this PR to IM13 holders, they said that in 20 years, almost 20 years ago, as I said just now, they got the work, they got the permit masuk, they got the PR, but CM department didn't know about this. But at that time, the CM asked the federal government to stop issuing IM13, giving them PR. But the CM did not say revoke all those already given. You got the right to revoke too.
Once you issue, difficult to revoke.
You can revoke if you want. Stateless, okay. Difficult topic, stateless. You cannot finish in just few minutes. Now, this is the thing. Project IC, they are already citizens. What to do with them? People talk about Sabah IC for genuine Sabahan. Who are the genuine Sabahan? The Malayans and Sarawakian who got our PR here, are they Sabahan? I said yes. They are Malaysian and they got Sabah PR, they are Sabahan. But are they genuine? Because their politicians said, give to genuine one only. You got me? Sarawakian and Malayan, if they got Sabah IC, Sabah PR status, they are Sabahan. Now, how about Project IC citizen? Are they Sabahan? Of course, first generation Project IC citizen, they are illegal citizens. Like MIC chief. Because RCI said the IC number are due-based one, blacklisted one. That is series of all IC numbers. But how about their children and their grandchildren? To me, we have to accept their children and grandchildren. Of course, they are born here. Just although their parents are illegally issued an IC, but we cannot say their children are also illegal. Because
international humanity, right?
the children, they don't know that their parents got the IC illegally. Not only I accept them as citizens, I accept them as Sabahan also. Some of you might not agree with me.
If they're born here, they're Sabahan. They're the people of the land.
So, if you go out to politics, you talk about this. But to me, this is how I look at it. There's no such thing as genuine Sabahan. You're Sabahan. Why you want to talk about genuine and not genuine? Sabah IC, okay. Sabah IC for Sabahan, I agree. Okay, I accept. But don't put the word genuine. But then you have to say, clarify who are the Sabahan. I know quite a lot of West Malaysian and Sarawakian who've been here for decades without work permit and without Sabah PR. But they're not Sabahan. Why they're still here? That's why I said our Sabah punya to get government, the JPN and immigration, a lot to be improved. I got a few more minutes. So if you want to solve all these things, CM must be elected by the Sabahan, nothing to do with KL. If you are appointed by KL, you have to follow what they said. Police, the NRD Immigration Department, the chief must be Sabahan. Then we can, one by one, how to deal with undocumented foreign workers with permit, all those things. And they must put the foot down. We accept the Project IC citizen punya children and grandchildren. And we must tell the first generation one, those who are still alive. Even in RCI, they discuss about that. There are about 20 plus foreigners who got ICs called to be witness in RCI. They were asked by the RCI, you said you are born not in Sabah, but your IC said you are born in Sabah. Now I'm asking you, is that correct or not, right or wrong? Itu salah lah, they agreed. So the next question by RCI is, then kalau government tarik kau punya IC, tapi kami kasih kau satu red IC, kau mau kah begitu? Mau. As long as they are allowed to stay in Sabah. So, for me, first generation IC citizen, if they're still alive, revoke their IC. Together, expunge their names in the electoral roll. But at the same time, you have to look after their landed property lah, to be humane a bit lah. They might have used their citizen card IC buy land, property, all this. Have to think of a lot legal document, how to bypass that.
But Dr. Chong, isn't it a citizenship is under federal, is under the center? How can we revoke the IC?
The first, I'm talking about the first generation IC.
Before the first generation, it is issued by the federal government.
Yeah, by federal government, RCI, you already agreed that they are dubious IC. You're the blacklisted IC.
But being politician, you know that what they say.
Now that's up to the CM department, the state government, whether they will or not to do it.
The state have the right of the immigration.
Yeah. Anyway, then come to Article 30. To me, this Article 30, I'm not a lawyer, but to me, it's a loose article. It should be expelled, repealed. But you have to study now the background of that first. I cannot talk to you about the background of the article. I know the background, why there is such an article, but it's time constraint. I cannot talk about it now. Then come to security. The integrity of all those department concerned is very important. Whoever has consulate in Zamboanga, consulate in Sabah, Philippines consulate in Sabah, all these things. So the solution involved a lot of things, including all these things. Dr. David knew about this amendment of Regulation 24.
Is there a Philippine consulate in Sabah?
No,
Oh, there.
no.
Yeah.
So suggest one. They must have one here.
They refuse.
Yalah, itulah.
Because they think Sabah.
That's right. They have to convince them lah. The last two, amend Election Act, because Election Act 19, my election petition, Ilika's election petition, when I won the election, they amended it. They said, once the name on the electoral roll, it cannot be challenged in any court of law. So all those names already in the roll, although proven in my election petition, they're still in the role until today. But with due respect to all the lawyers in Sabah, and now Dr. David is here, why no lawyer challenge this under constitutional law? Constitution said citizen only is supposed to be on the roll. If they are not citizen, proven in the court, proven in the election petition court, why can't I challenge the electoral roll? So we have to amend again this Election Act 9A, Section 9A. How can we cannot challenge in court of law if we know it's non-citizen names on the roll?
So SMA have to come up.
Yeah, it's the government plus the government and the lawyer. That's my own view. But if I'm a lawyer, I'll challenge the act under constitutional law. David. The Regulation 24 of the National Registration Regulation, this Regulation 24 says, the burden of proof of your IC content is on you. RCI have discussion about this among the Law Association with the RCI Commissioner. Why can't it be the other way around? The burden of proof be given to the JPN, not the JPN. You prove to us what you said there is true. The Director General of JPN then, as a witness, she said, yes, it could be done. David, you remember? So the solution involves all these things also. Very comprehensive. That's my working paper. I don't know.
They say Philippines will never set out a concert.
It's a working paper. It's at least the background. So on top, the last slide, of course, when you want to solve all this, you have to look into the health, like Dr. Heng said, our health, the drug abuse by them, the education aspect, the housing of all those people, job opportunity for our local and for the new people, levy and foreigners workers. You know how much levy? You know how much they charge? 1,008. All the money went to KL, not a cent back to us. I would suggest you can have levy on foreign workers, but at least half of them, if not half, 40% give us back to us, Sabah. Anyway, this is my idea, my working paper. That's all. Thank you very much. Hey, ada lagi ka? With all these futures, inilah last slide. Makanya kita orang jadi perharian lah. Macam Radin Mali cakap dulu. Our future generation will not forgive us. Itulah habislah. So sorry rushing a lot in the last few minutes. I don't know, ada sampai kamu punya otak kah? Kamu boleh mengerti kah? Can understand or not?